Hey there everybody, this is Tyler Jordan from ragdollanimation.com, and we are back with another tutorial, but this one is for Cinema 4D, not 3D Studio Max. It's been a while since I've made a tutorial, but here we go. So this one is, I call this one the Spring Monster tutorial. So you got these spring monsters that jump down, fully dynamic. None of these are keyframed. They kind of just jump down and look deep into your soul. If you leave them hanging there long enough, they'll be clumsy and fall over. But yeah, they're all like this guy right here. He's looking at you. But all right, let's get started. So this is the final setup right here. So this is what it'll look like. So we're going to start with a brand new file. First things first, I always do is change these to 1280 by 720, and just keep that all the same. Gonna get that doink that off so I can test render without it actually yelling at me and saying, "Hey, you need to save somewhere." So. Alright, let's do it. Let's get started. Let's make a square. Make a cylinder. Back it up a bit. Alright, and then we also need to create a spring. Simulations, dynamic, spring. Simulation, we also need to have a connector, so I'm just dragging all these things out for right now. Alright. So, looking at the example, actually I'll just go right here. We want the squares to be on top, spring, and then cylinder. So, square on top. Let's make the cylinder wider. Up top. Alright, so next we want to click on the spring. We want to go to display and display always so we can see it. We want to go to object. Object A will be the cylinder, and object B will be the cube. And voila! As we play, look, nothing happens. That's okay. And then we want to do the same thing for the connector. So, connector is A is the cylinder, and cube is B. When you do this, it might look like this. It might be like way over here, or sometimes it's just completely rotated to the left or the right. But in this case, it's fine. Alright, next thing we want to do is the spring. We want to add a dynamic tag to the cylinder. We're going to call these something. So this will be foot, his feet, and this will be his face, head. Now, what we want to do is add a dynamic tag, simulations, rigid body, and we're gonna get rid of connector quick. We'll go back to that, and then we should be able to play it. And you notice it's going way up there for some reason. What's it doing? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna extend our timeline by 500 so we can play it in real time. And we're going to go spring. We're going to go to rested length and just press the up and down button. In our example, we're going down or up. Yes, we're going up to 220. So now it's going down there. If we restart it, we can also move it around like this. And of course, if you go crazy, it'll it'll break it, but you don't want to break it. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly save it. Next thing is we create a helix. Helixes are right here. Boom. We want to rotate it downwards, so holding down Shift. I'm bringing it up here. We're gonna make our start length 20 and 20. I mean, you can make it whatever you want, but what I'm doing is 20 and 20. I'll zoom in a bit. I'm just gonna bring it up here to pretty much the middle of this square for now. It will change later. And then the height, which will also change in a couple steps, I'm just going to bring it down there. And I also want to change the end angle to, I found 3344. Oops. 3344. That's a good one. So now when we play it, nothing will happen. So it's just kind of hanging around. Alright, and then Control Z, and then back up. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is make a sweep nerve. So I'm going to actually move the spring to here, so the foot will be on the top, the head. That way, top, middle, bottom. That way it's not all over the place. Helix, gonna hold Alt, go to here, and we're looking for sweep. And then we're gonna also create a circle, which will be under here. Boom. Put it right there. That's perfect, right? That looks like a spring. Now we're gonna change it to 2, I think it was. Yeah, 2 is good. And then next is we're gonna move everything up. So I'm going to just put a cylinder down there. I'm gonna just move everything up from the y-axis. That way it's not all in the way. Alright, good enough. Alright, next is we're going to make an expresso. Oh no. So this is the hard part. So bear with me if I don't get it right the first time. So we're gonna right click on any of these. I'm picking sweep. Go to Semaphore do tags expresso, and then just kind of move it aside. Alright, so we're gonna bring in a few things. We're going to bring in the helix. Just gonna make it bigger so I can see things. And we're also gonna bring in the foot. Save it real quick, because expresso can break your entire animation file. Next thing is we're going to click here. We're going to go object. Actually, wait, nope. One thing first. We're going to create a brand new null. And we're going to bring it up. We're going to put it in the middle of this square. That way, roughly in the middle of the square, which is good enough. And then we're going to parent the foot to that null. That way, the center of this foot is right here. So if I was to rotate it or anything, it's always going to rotate around this square. That way we're telling, hey, the actual center of mass is this square right here. Alright. So now we're going to go to click on the red, go to coordinates, position, and then the blue, object properties, height. So it's saying whatever position this foot is going to be, it's going to be, actually, did I do that wrong? Nope, I did that right. Boom. So if we look at it, the helix, it'll have this expression tab. So it's saying that the position of the circle, this cylinder, is 200 inches down, which is right. So now if we move it, I'm just gonna move it off the screen. That's pretty much all we needed for expresso. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna play it, and it should still be a little wonky, but it is it is attached down here in a way. So whenever I do, it's kind of going with it. But now you notice, alright, that this is staying still for some reason. Well, that's because, reset it. Well, that's because the the top of the helix, the sweep nerve, isn't linked to anything. So what I'm going to do real quick is going to go back to the spring, display, take it off because I don't need to see it anymore. And I'm going to now click on the sweep nerve, which is here. I'm going to, where is it? I'm going to make a character tag constraint, put a constraint on it, and we're going to parent it to the head. Okay, now save it again, and play, and hopefully it works. Okay, it's working. And you notice that it's breaking a little bit here, but we will fix that. Alright, so what we want to do next is the same thing that we did with the sweep nerve. We want to go to character tag, constraint, parent, and then make that the head. Save it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to move it around a bit. Alright, now stop it. Control Z. And go back. Alright. Now that's pretty much it for the dynamics and the setup. So all this extra stuff that I'm going to do is just fluff. Alright, so I'm going to make this gigantic. Super big. 15,000 is what I had. So, very big. I'm going to put it all the way down here. I'm going to now create the textures real quick. They're probably not going to be the same textures as my example, but that's okay. I'm just gonna bring it down a bit, put a reflection on it. I'm just gonna Fresnel that reflection at 50%. Make that black. That's the ground. Boom. I'm gonna duplicate it and call this one red. And that will be the spring. So we'll change that to red. Alright, Now we're going to duplicate it again. I change this to foot. It's going to be the foot and the sides of the faces, but that's okay. So we can put it on both. Just going to put it on the head, and put it on the null, which is the foot. I'm going to change this to just black. I think it was just black. We're going to change the reflection to 75%. And we're going to duplicate one more time and call that the face. I'm also going to put that on the head, so there's two of them. But there's a trick here. We want to, for the face real quick, we want to change the texture to that mean face texture that I had this guy, this angry face. Took me all of 0 seconds to make that face, but that's okay. You notice there's 4 of them. Unless you want a 4-sided, 6-sided face, dude, you can keep it that way, but I don't want that. So I'm going to make this an editable poly by pressing C, and then go to select. And I select the front of his face, which is right here. Select set selection, and then I'm gonna click on that, drag it in, boom. And there you go. And now I will drag it up, but for now I'm gonna save it. I'm just gonna play it. Okay. One last thing we forgot in the setup, which was add a dynamic tag to his face. Alright. We don't want that. We also forgot to add a dynamic tag to the floor, make it a collider. Alright, so now he should be bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and hopefully fall over. Whoa! My apologies if we forgot one more thing. Remember that remember that connector in the beginning? Alright. Dynamics connector. Notice it's facing this direction, like I said before. Pressing shift to bring it up. It's going to be the same thing as a spring, so it's going to be foot and then head. Foot and then head. You should have a line that goes this way, but it's not going to work. I'll show you. Everything's all stiff. Why is it all stiff? Because it's on hinge. It needs to be on slider. So now there's a huge rod through his body. So now, if I back it up, now it should be good. He's bouncing, he's bouncing, he's bouncing. Alright. Cool. Now, let's go ahead and make a bajillion of them for now, and then I'll add the lighting after that. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this null, because we want this null to be at the center of mass. So copy that null by holding down Control or Command, and just click and drag, and then just delete it. We're going to call this main null. Bring it up. We're going to make everything a child of that main null, so that way when we move everything, it's connected to that. Alright, so now what we're going to do is bring them up. Actually, let's do the lighting first before we bring them up. We'll just make a bunch of them right here. I'm just copying them. I think 5. Let's make it even 6. I don't remember how many I had in my example. Even 6. Okay. We're going to angle the camera up so it's spooky. we're gonna play it a little bit. So when they hit the ground, that's when we'll stop. Alright. Spooky. Angle up. Create a camera right there. Gonna make that the active camera. I'm gonna go ahead and go into this, change that to perspective, change this to grout. So now so the left is my camera, and the right is my workspace. So I'm gonna save it. Next, I'm going to make a spotlight. Spooky spotlight. Just position it wherever you want. I'm just gonna do it real quick. Render it real quick. Spooky scary. I'm gonna angle it some more. That way it's even more scary, more dramatic. Push it up some more. Decrease that. Alright, now they're spooky. You can also add some ambient occlusion like I did. It will knock up the render tremendously, but it will also add shadows, small shadows. So what we're also going to do is go to this. I'm gonna go to the light, shadow, and actually put shadow on. Wow, that's a lot spookier than my original one. I'm a little jealous, but and then of course put a bounce light in there. Just kind of put it over here. Just kind of put it over here and make it 20, I think. 20 is good, I think. Before, after. Yeah. Alright. So just move that off the screen. And the very last thing to do is take them all, put them way up here, and then let them drop. Pressing F8. So it's a little laggy in real time, but you'll get what's going on. They're all dropping in unison. So one thing that we're gonna do, the very last thing that we're gonna do, is just kind of pull some of them up and pull some of them down. That way they're not all bouncing together. Alright. So, dun dun dun! Spring alien monsters coming to rule your, I don't know, theaters, coming October 31st. I was kind of hoping they would spring around and then fall over, but it looks like these guys they know what's going on, and this guy's definitely looking into my eyes, my soul. So this is the tutorial on how to use dynamic springs and link actual meshes to the springs themselves. I'm gonna stop it real quick. So thank you for watching. It's been a while since I made a tutorial, and I do plan on making more. This is Tyler from ragdollanimation.com. You can check us out there, My partner John, he does tutorials as well. Um, and I hope you guys have fun with this one. Take care.